Damn, you'd think I'd actually shave and change my hair for this. Sonic the Hedgehog. Just the name divides gamers like nations at war. Either you love the franchise or you hate it. And very rarely are there ever any fence-sitters when it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, if you are a fence-sitter, there's a good chance it's because you've not played enough games to form a concrete opinion. That being said, I personally like Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't love him as a character or anything, and I'm still to fall in love with any of his games. But I have come close here and there, like with Advance and the original trilogy, just to name a few. But it's been a while since I've given those games a fair shake, and I probably will do further down the line for reviews or something like that, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So what's a Blue Blur been up to? Well, just last year, he came out with not one, not 75, but 2 new games. The first of these games was Sonic Mania, an excellent callback to the classic era, something a lot of fans have been pining for, and while it was great and all, it took Christian Whitehead, Headcanon, and a bunch of other developers, most of which who were fans of the franchise, to get this wet dream of a game to become a reality. I mean, Lord knows Sega and Sonic Team were too fucking stupid to see the fucking money just lying there on the table, so someone had to swoop in and get it. And I know that Sega, at least Sega of America, had some hand in making this game, I guess. I mean, at the very least they gave the go-ahead for the game to be made. But you've got to imagine if they actually did do this themselves, it probably wouldn't have gone as well. But you'd think that Sega probably wouldn't have done this themselves until much later on, or probably would have at all. As much as I love Sega and Sonic Team, it's hard to imagine they do a great job with a concept like Sonic Mania. I mean, they flip-flop from great to terrible games every other game in the franchise, it seems. So you've got to you kind of got to think, haven't you? Well, some fans had some complaints about the game, like the use of done-to-death levels that had been seen in the franchise multiple times over. The general response to the game was pretty much great all over the board, and for any doubters and naysayers, there's pretty much a giant resounding sigh of relief that the game was in fact excellent. This game, even a year on, is still being talked about as a massive success for Sega and Sonic in general. Now, there is more to this game that I'll get onto in a bit, but what about the other game that Sega had in the pipeline and they were ready to shit out onto store shelves? Well, ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Sonic Forces. While fans were excited for this game, they were nowhere near as pumped as they were for Mania, which kind of cut the balls off the game to begin with. But I can't imagine it would have been much better if it were released a year before or after Mania. So to add fuel to the fire that wasn't even lit yet, Mania was released around 3 or 4 months before Forces. Now, while Mania shouldn't have had much of an impact on Forces because any and all expectations for Mania were delivered on and then some, everyone turned their heads to Forces in hopes it was just as good. Unfortunately for most, that wasn't the case. Sonic Forces attempted what very few Sonic games before it had attempted: a serious plot. Yeah, that's right, for those of you who weren't aware, Sonic drops dead in like the first 5 minutes of the game. Coincidentally, Mario did the same thing in Odyssey, but that's neither here nor there. Now, while we all know they won't really kill off Sonic, it was a step in the right direction because it wasn't out of the ordinary for Sonic the Hedgehog to experiment like this. It's been an experimental franchise since the introduction of 3D, to be honest, so it wasn't like it was out of left field. But then people got to actually playing the game. This game included 3 gameplay styles: Modern Sonic, Classic Sonic, and the created character. Again, going off word of mouth and reviews, the reception was as follows. Most people enjoyed Modern Sonic, and some even said it was an improvement over the pre-established formula of Modern Sonic. People generally thought Classic Sonic was fine, but controlled much better in Mania. So the custom character you control pretty much like Modern Sonic, just with a weapon and wisps, and kind of left fans divided on what they felt. So because of these things and more, it left Sonic Forces feeling like a game with a lot of missed opportunity and potential, and kind of leaving a lot to be desired in certain areas. This led to many reviews calling the game decent, or in some cases downright mediocre. Very few people actually called the game good, and judging from what I've seen, it looks good. and a lot of people did say it was good, but some people were just really pissed off because of Mania being so good, and then Forces just came out of nowhere with Bolt Forces. Come 2018, Sonic Forces feels like a distant memory while Mania gets the update treatment, with 2 new characters, Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel, and a couple new game modes as well. While Forces got some love with updates and patches too, it's kind of left in the dust. Now finally for what most of you clicked on this video for, the future of the franchise. While most people are ready to welcome a Mania 2 with open arms, I think it's the last thing this franchise needs right now. Now it may sound crazy, but I, much like most of you, would welcome a Mania sequel with open arms. But Sonic's just shown that he can hang in the classic era and in the classic era format, and where it's really struggling is the modern era and in that modern formula, because it just keeps going downhill every time. Games like Generations and Lease etc. did a lot right while experimenting, but for the next entry I'd say Sonic should just go back to the basics and make a lot of fun, easygoing gameplay with a decent challenge and not stray too far from the beaten path. While it may sound boring as hell, it's what's best for the series, since even hardcore fans are giving up on modern Sonic, which is actually pretty sad when you think about it, for making a fun standout game like Mania, but just in 3D, should rekindle the flame that modern Sonic needs. Another extremely unlikely option for Sega is to make the game that everyone's wanted for years on end, and that would be Sonic Adventure 3. Now the possibility of Sega and Sonic Team making a Sonic Adventure 3 is as likely as my man Bootsy Collins not looking fly as fuck daily. In case you're wondering, that's highly unlikely. Near impossible actually. I mean, look at this guy, he styles and profiles better than Ric Flair. Damn. Wait, what was I talking about again? Oh, Sonic, right. Fans have been pining for Adventure 3 for years and most have given up on the idea that it'll even come out, but Sega wants to interest people, and it's pretty much the best way that they can go about doing it. I mean, all they really need to do is just make sure they don't put Big the Cat in the game and put Vector in instead, and there you go, instant fucking masterpiece. I mean, let's be real, Sega could make 062 masquerading as Adventure 3 and some people would give it a free pass just because it's an adventure game. While researching for this video I found out there's a Sonic movie coming up, but from what little we know, it seems okay, but I wouldn't really hold my breath. And there's also this weird toaster thing I found. Anyway guys, it's been me, XYZ Cruncher, with a little bit more of a scripted random ramblings this time. I don't know what format I want to keep this series in, but I'll keep it mostly unscripted, but I might do scripted ones here and there for like bigger ones or ones that I think kind of need a clear, concise explanation to things. But yeah, feel free to subscribe and check out some of my other videos. I'll just leave them here. Feel free to subscribe. I mean, God knows I need the fucking subscribers and views, so anyway, I've been XYZ Cruncher. Stay cool, stay safe, stay crunchy. I'm out. Peace.